right, good afternoon, everyone. Let's go ahead and call this Pompano Beach CRA meeting to order, July 21st, 2026 at 1 p.m. If I could ask everyone to please silence their cell phones or put them on vibrate during the meeting so we don't get disrupted by somebody getting a telephone call or a text message. So please put them on silent or vibrate. Appreciate that. Let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fezzik.
Here.
Commissioner Perkins.
Here.
Commissioner Segerson-Eaton.
Here.
Commissioner Smith. Here. Vice Mayor Fournier.
Here.
Mayor Harden.
Here, if we can all rise, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can I get a motion approving the CRA board meeting minutes of June 16th, 2026?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. On our agenda this afternoon, we'll be striking item number 2. So item number 2 will be stricken. Mr. Harrison, any further changes?
No, sir.
Very good. Can I get a motion approving the agenda as amended?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. That takes us up to audience to be heard. Mr. Alfred, do we have anyone signed up to speak today?
Yes, we have 4 speakers, Mayor.
Very good.
First speaker, Serica Peterson, followed by Melvin King, followed by Jocelyn Jackson, and followed by Pat Anderson.
Just name and address to the record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Serica Peterson, my address is printed in the tap-in too, courtesy of Commissioner Audrey Fezzik. However, I want to talk about TIF today. I want to get an understanding, if you, Mayor, can explain to me exactly how TIF applies to the Northwest community in the CRA. Or you can direct staff to explain it to me.
How
TIF.
Well, TIF is tax increment financing. I mean, if you can get with Mr. Tran or Ms. Vasquez and they can explain.
I kind of want to put it on record because there's a lot of conversation going around about TIF splits. So I want to have a conversation, and I think the board needs to have a conversation about TIF splits because from what I understand, there's been conversations about running some models of what a possible TIF split will be, 60-40, 70-30, whatever. But I want to know exactly, I want the people to know exactly what TIF is and how that money applies to the Northwest community or the East. And I want to make sure everybody understands how that money helps spur economic development in their community. So okay. I really want that. I know I'm going to be pointed over here, so can I listen for a minute?
Okay, it's your 3 minutes. Sure. Mr. Tran, can you give a real quick rundown on what TIF is? Just mindful of the time because
yes.
3 minutes.
30 seconds, if that's...
Yes, so quickly, new and Trans Area Director, tax increment, that is TIF, tax increment financing. In the Northwest, you have a base year of when the Northwest was formed. So that is what other taxing authorities collect up to. They collect up to 100% up until the base year. Any years after that is your increment in property tax revenue. So that is your TIF, basically. We have an interlocal agreement with the city and the other taxing authorities. Right now, the Northwest doesn't have any other than city-only TIF. The agreement says that the city will collect all the way up until the base year, and then from the base year to current, they will get 5%, the CRA will get 95%, and of the 95% of the increment, it has to be reinvested in that Northwest district. What we use that for is for all the programs, all the incentive programs, any of the streetscape improvements, any infrastructure improvements, any of that is eligible under the statutes and in our plan to do. So that's important, is whatever's in the statutes that we're allowed to do and within our plan.
Okay, thank you. So now that I understand exactly where that money is supposed to go, I just want to put it on record that I am 1,000% against any TIF splits that would come against the Northwest community. The East, they already had their opportunity, they already built up, if they want to split, fine, but the Northwest needs its time, and the next generation actually needs their opportunity to participate in economic development. The next thing I want to say is, because of that interlocal agreement, can we get from the county, I know the city has nothing to do with this, but can we get from the county what that breakdown of that $10 million that was set aside for residential? I need that breakdown. I want to also know the vendors that was used to do this, what the impact is, the families. I want to know who those vendors are, because if I'm not mistaken, a couple of those vendors are actually vendors in the city doing other projects, and if these projects aren't complete in our community, I want to make sure those vendors aren't giving preferential treatment to do other things in the city. If someone can really push that, anybody, that we get that report of where that $10 million went, who are the vendors that are working in the community to do these home improvements. It's supposed to go to cleaning up residential slum and blight, so how many families were impacted, who were the vendors, and actually did this program work? Because we left $240 million on the table for $10 million, so I think we need to know where that $10 million went. Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Mayor?
Commissioner Segerson-Eaton?
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with Ms. Peterson. The TIF it's a complicated and somewhat confusing thing to explain to people. And all over the years, I feel like I've honed it down so that to simplify it. And I'd like to just also say that the tax increment that goes to the CRA is no more or less. There's no premium on the amount of taxes that people pay. It's just that that increment over and above the base year goes to the CRA entity. And that is what is called a guaranteed revenue stream. That allows a CRA to borrow money because they have that guaranteed revenue stream. And yes, by law, all the revenues that are generated by a CRA stay in the CRA until the end of the CRA. So yeah, it enables CRAs to finance based on that guaranteed revenue stream. Thank you.
Very good.
Mayor?
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I also spent a lot of time on this, and there are a couple points that I want to make about this as well. So, yes, that money stays in the CRA, but the Northwest CRA and the East CRA are very, very different. The Northwest CRA is 3,084 acres of land. It is an enormous CRA. And so what our CRA has done over time is find areas to target that investment, because you can't practically spread it out over all 3,084 acres. So some examples of the biggest projects the Northwest CRA have done are streetscapes and infrastructure in and around the Old Town area, so in the couple acres east of Dixie Highway. The lane reduction project at Atlantic and Dixie and all the beautification and streetscape there, the parts of that project that reside in the Northwest CRA, some of that was funded through bonds that are paid back by the Northwest CRA for the Atlantic and Dixie lane reduction and landscaping. There's tax credits that have gone to the town, another project east of Dixie. There's been some work done on MLK. There's been a couple of events in Collier City. There's rent that gets paid to certain business owners and people who've sat on this board before and their families that have been paid from the Northwest CRA. So I have put out a breakdown, and the CRA has done it before, of where all the money has gone. And it's important to know that, right? That not all of it has gone throughout the Northwest CRA into some of the areas that were in most need. I have also asked quite a bit about that $10 million at the county. I initially did a ride-along on the first phase of those residential projects to see some of the upgrades. I know there's a second phase of it now, but that is the money that has been earmarked to go into the community to improve single-family homes, and we should be holding the county accountable for that. I agree with you. Now, again, the Northwest and East are different because the Northwest already doesn't have the matching funds. The East, we still have matching funds from the county until 2031. So I think any different revenue split in the East, nothing there would make sense until 2031. And then that, when it should sunset, we could contemplate some other split if it doesn't sunset, but we shouldn't give up matching funds in the meantime. Thank you.
Very good. Next speaker.
Delvin King, followed by Jocelyn Jackson, followed by Pat Anderson.
Delvin King, 2601 Northwest 12th Street. Mr. Mayor, I come with another couple of questions for you. So, are you familiar with these companies? OT Property Group, Caesar Harris, Pompano Park JV, Northwest Corner, LLC, Pompano Park Live, LLC, Pompano Park JV Holdings, LLC, Turks Capital, LLC. Are you familiar with those companies?
Not all of them. No, some I am.
Some you are? Yeah. Okay. So I come to say this to a few commissioners. Stop playing with the residents of Palm Air. Stop playing with the residents of Cypress Bend. You're selling out our community. You're taking donations from these top developers, and you're gonna owe them something in the end. We already seen what happened with the zoning board, the P&Z, how that foolishness flip-flop. So we need you to stop playing with the residents. We need you to come to Palm Air, come to Cypress Bend, and explain the process. Just let us know what you're going to do. Because you already got in your mind where your vote is. You already got in mind how you're going to flip it, how you're going to still bring Costco's. You already got it in your mind. So come and tell Palm Air residents, I'm not asking for a association meeting. I'm asking for a City of Pompano meeting, not a Republican meeting, not a Democratic meeting. I'm asking for a City of Pompano meeting to explain to the residents what the plan is, where you stand in the plan, where Ms. Smith stands in the plan. Because if I look back at these donations and givings, I kind of see where we're going with it. So will you be able to come to District 5 to have a meeting, a City of Pompano meeting? And you agree to that?
I'm in District 5 quite frequently.
Excuse me?
I'm in District 5 quite frequently.
That's not what I asked you. I didn't ask you when you were there. I asked you, can you have a meeting in District 5 to give us an update, especially Palm Air and Cypress Bend? Can you agree to that? Or can Ms. Smith agree?
I'm not gonna agree to a meeting right here on the spot. I don't know what the meeting is about.
I just explained to you what it was about. You're not listening.
Mr. King, if you're
not listening for understanding.
Mr. King, if you'd like a meeting with me, I'm happy to sit.
I'm asking you to come to the residents. I'm not asking for a meeting with you.
And I have been before the residents many times.
Oh, you have?
And I will continue to go before the residents.
Okay, so we're requesting a meeting.
Like I said, the offer's open.
Thank you so much.
Next speaker.
Jocelyn Jackson, good afternoon. First of all, I would like to say thank you to the ground workers. I see them out there and boy, they be drenched in sweat. It is hot outside. So I want to tell them thank you. We appreciate them and for them to keep up the good work. Also, I want to thank the staff as well. They've been doing a good job. All of us have been through a lot during this term. We got a new election coming up November. So we're looking for everybody to partake in it. The next thing I would like to say, Mayor, I was over on the beach and they have the little trolley cars. Do we have those cars here? I haven't seen them, but I do see a trolley bus to run on MLK. The little trolley, the cars?
Yeah, in the beach area, we got
Yes.
Circuit. Circuit is now expanded over to as far as Dixie Highway in certain areas, but it's not the Circuit little cars like they have in the beach. It's more of the larger van type operation.
Okay, because we have our elderly, the elderly people residents would love to partake in the meetings and also, you know, the meetings at EPAT Larkins and also the meetings here, but they don't have transportation. So if we could work on getting the trolley bus, because I see a trolley bus, but is that a free bus that run alongside MLK?
There is a community shuttle buses out there as well. It runs on four different lines around the city.
Right.
Those are free.
Okay, those are free. Do we have one that would bring our seniors here? If they want to partake in an evening meeting or either afternoon meeting, do we have it?
I believe our community shuttle does run along here. You can get with staff to get the routes. I'm not sure what the routes are.
Okay, if not, we would like to have that for them, because they want to participate, but they don't have a ride. They share with me they don't have a ride. So they want to be able to participate. So we can have that trolley bus to kind of, you know, be able to at least cross the tracks. You know, they meet on the MLK, if that can happen, so they'll be able to participate. Because I know we have a lot of other meetings in regards to the city's development at EPAT Larkins, and some of our seniors don't have rides. So if we can work on that, it would help us out a lot. Okay, that's it. That's all I have. So who should I speak to, or?
You can get with Mr. Bosworth, Assistant City Manager Bosworth.
Okay, and then he have to bring it back to the dais for you guys to vote on it?
That's just get with him. It's
Okay, all right, because they're really excited, so I'm just trying to make sure they get the proper transportation from to and from.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Pat Anderson.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good
Rex
afternoon.
Harden,
Good afternoon.
commissioners. Greg Harrison. Oh, where's Mark Berman?
He's probably up in his office.
Oh, I miss him.
Miss McKenna is our CRA attorney.
Yes, she's the one that says she's waiting for a letter to ask for a letter, to ask for a letter, to ask for a letter of intent, to ask for a letter of intent, to ask for a letter of intent. Yes, I listen to you often. I wrote down everything I was going to say here, because from time to time, as much as I work with the wonderful city clerks, there are times they redact or leave off 40 pages of important documents. And I don't have my glasses with me, so I'm going to hold it out like this and squint a lot. I'm Pat Anderson Wetstein. I got married 2 years ago, and I am the owner of a company called My Own Cruising Journal. I do T-shirts and tourist souvenirs for over 20 nonprofits, including Winterfest Christmas balls, which I'm in process this afternoon of doing my 22nd Christmas ball for Winterfest Boat Parade. And don't miss it. It's going to be a beautiful ball. One of my best. I live at 2650 Northeast 24th Street in Pompano Beach, Florida, 33064, 7701. And that Northeast 24th Street divides Pompano from Lighthouse Point. And we have a problem. Y'all smashed my house, Greg Harrison, and you worked with an attorney, Michael Peasy, to have my man fired, which was Miguel Nunez. He got fired. He was my building processor or official for Pompano, and you fired him. And then you should have fired Recor, because what's happened is everything has happened is this is just a repeat of what's going on down in Pompano. Mayor Rex Harden, you sound just like Joe Carollo down in Miami. You know, you're not admitting that you broke my house, you smashed it, you don't have any code, you don't have any records of it.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson.
And this is for you. And it's an answer to the outrageous VAB reply to the petition number 14. And it shows how we're having gerrymandering in our own district.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson.
So you want it?
You can leave that stuff with the clerk.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Mayor, that concludes audience to be heard.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that takes us up to our consent agenda. Didn't ask if anyone wanted to pull anything. So it's, anyone wish to discuss item 1? Yep, okay. Item 1 is a resolution.
A resolution of the Pompano Beach Community Redevelopment Agency adopting the updated investment policy approved by the City Commission pursuant to Resolution Number 2026-129 on July 14, 2026, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Who's going to handle this item? Ms. Furtado. Okay.
Oh, okay. I wasn't expecting this to be pulled as a consent agenda,
Yep.
but Alison Furtado, Finance Director. Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Before you this afternoon is the proposed 2026 investment policy, which represents a comprehensive update to the city's investment guidelines based off on Section 218-415 Florida statute requires the governing body to adopt a written investment policy to provide a framework for the prudent investment of public funds. The revisions are designed to ensure continued compliance with current Florida law, strengthen risk management and governance practices, and provide additional flexibility to prudently manage the city and CRE investment portfolio in today's market environment. So again, the policy is just an update to expand on certain classification of our investments. And because the CRA is a part of the city's investment, that is why we have to have an approval also from the CRA body. Thank you.
Thank you for that. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion. Commissioner Fessick?
Thank you. Yeah, I know that we had approved this at our city commission meeting, but I did a little bit deeper of a dive into it, and I just wanted to check two things. There was no red line version, so I was just curious about what exactly, if you would mind put that on record, what changed between, you said it was just an update?
So again, it's just the classifications of how we do our investments. So most of the, apart from certain languages that was outdated, that was made a change. We also changed the allocation of certain funds that we do. So for example, our corporate notes, we went from 25 to 35%. The commercial paper was classified from 25 to 35. Our asset-backed securities from 10 to 25%. And our LGIP, which is our local government pool, from 25 to 50%, which is a more liquid fund. So those were the main changes within our policy.
Okay. And so some of this, when I was looking through it, does this give the city or staff any more authority or any ability to work around any options within the financial, or is it just?
No, we have to stick with what the investment policy states. And again, the reason why we produce this, the guideline is that we have to follow 218. If we don't do 218, we have our own policy, and that's why we present it here. So no, we cannot go beyond what the policy states.
Okay, and is 280 more stringent or less stringent than this?
It's
the same?
Yeah, we have to have a policy. So if we don't create a policy ourselves, which is more stringent than 218, then we abide by 218. But every governmental agency has to follow 218-415.
Okay. My concern with some of this is that I've been in this situation here where we've approved something that seemed to be just a text amendment, and
This
it
is
ended up
not,
being, right, or a small change, and then it ends up being a way that workarounds happen, or
we cannot work around what this policy states. It's illegal.
right, I understand this particular policy, but I meant from a board perspective.
Again, my policy, I cannot work around this policy. It's illegal to
Right.
do so.
I heard what you're saying related to the policy. Okay, thank you.
Very good. Further commission discussion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fezzik,
No?
Commissioner Perkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Sigerson-Eaton,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Vice Chair Fournier,
Yes.
Chair Harden.
Yes. Item 3 is a resolution.
A resolution of the Pompano Beach Community Redevelopment Agency approving and authorizing the proper officials to execute a property disposition and development agreement between the CRA and Parrish and Associates LLC relating to 2 vacant CRA-owned parcels of land located at 801 Northwest 18th Avenue to be developed as and utilized for affordable housing, providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second for discussion. Good afternoon, Ms. Lamassier.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, CRA Board members, Cassandra Lemassurier, Real Property Manager. So as Ms. McKenna read for the resolution title, the item before you is a property disposition and development agreement between the CRA and Parrish and Associates LLC. This is for 2 lots that are located at 801 Northwest 18th Avenue that unified together would create 1 buildable site for a single-family home. For the background on this, the CRA Board did approve acceptance of an unsolicited proposal from Parrish and Associates LLC at the May 19th, 2026 meeting, and then authorized staff to negotiate a property disposition and development agreement with Parrish to construct a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1-car garage home with 1,754 square feet under air and 2,055 square feet under roof for a proposed sales price of $475,000, which would equate to $270 per square foot, and this will be for their pre-qualified income-restricted buyer on the 2 CRA lots. For the property information, Broward County conveyed the landlocked parcel, which is the west parcel, shown as number 2 on this aerial, to the city March of 2004, and then the city conveyed that parcel to the CRA in September that same year. The CRA purchased the parcel that fronts Northwest 18th Avenue, parcel number 1, in January of 2025 for $100,000. The combined Broward County property appraiser market value for both of the lots is $152,420 for 2026. Both parcels are zoned RM12, which is residential multifamily 12, and the unified lot size when combined will be 8,011 square feet. The agreement terms will require that Parrish construct the 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1-car garage home that has the 1,754 square feet under air. They have to complete that within 16 months of the effective date of the agreement, and they have their proposed sales price of $475,000. The CRA will convey the property to Parrish once they provide evidence of their construction financing and they've obtained the building permits for the project. The agreement also includes a declaration of covenants and restrictions, which maintains affordability for buyers who earn 120% or less of the area median income for Broward County, and that restriction will be for a period of 20 years. And there will be a deferred loan to grant of $150,000, which represents the CRA's interest in the property since the property is being donated to the developer. That amount decreases monthly so that after a 10-year period, the balance is forgiven as long as there's no default. There's also an agreement for reconveyance. If Parrish would fail to complete construction within 16 months or have some other material default on the terms of the agreement, then the ownership of the property would revert back to the CRA. The requested board action is that you approve the property disposition and development agreement between the CRA and Parrish and Associates LLC. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for questions, as well as Laura Parrish and Joshua Willis Parrish, who are in the audience.
Very good. Thank you for that. This is a public hearing. Is there any input from the public on this item? Please come forward. Just name and address for the record.
Sarah Peterson, address 2nd Street. I just want to say I'm in support of this group of developers. They are community people and representation matters. So I'm very excited about this project, and I love the presentation that they did, I think it was a few months ago that they did here. Great representation of our community and what we can do when given the opportunity to build our community better. So thank you to those who voted for this, and I hope you guys continue to vote for projects that represent the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further speakers? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion, questions, concerns. Commissioner Fessick.
Thank you. I just had a couple questions. When I was going through the backup, Exhibit 7, it said the mortgage secures $150,000, and then Exhibit 8, promissory note, said $100,000 in writing, but $150,000 in words, in numbers.
That'll be corrected before it's executed. And just to be clear, those are actually sample documents of what we would require. The final documents are actually not executed until the closing on the sale of the property to the pre-qualified buyer, and they're executed and recorded at that point in time. Thank you for pointing that out, though. We will correct that on the template we provided them.
It was just one of those things that when you happen to see it, if you want to make sure it was noted. Is there a resale price cap or any sort of shared appreciation mechanism in this? Because I know that we've talked about that in the past.
Right, so we have not, in any prior property disposition or development agreements, put a price cap in. By essence of the fact that this is for an income-restricted buyer, and the buyer has pre-qualified for the $475,000 mortgage, if the buyer couldn't qualify for a higher mortgage, but there were cost overruns in construction, then the developer is going to have to absorb that if the buyer can't cover the increase in cost. So just by the fact that it's income-restricted, it sets a little bit of a cap on that. It's not something we've ever done in the past. It's a little bit of a challenge of how we would do it. It's been contemplated because there's usually a timing issue from the time that we receive an unsolicited proposal until the finished product's completed, and it's hard to anticipate what the real estate market and the construction market will do with regard to the cost for construction. But I mean, it is something that can be included in any development agreement that we do. It's just trying to figure out the right mechanism, should we choose to do that, or should the board choose to do that.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, if that person chooses to, like, they buy it, but maybe they choose to move on, or the market goes, wonderfully, or whatever it may be, would they have the opportunity to sell it, or would we have it? Would it go again to somebody who may be in a situation where an income-restricted property, so it could go to somebody else in need if they're doing well?
Right, so the income restriction does last for a period of 20 years, so whoever that buyer is has to meet that 120% less of the AMI. So that is something that's in the recorded declaration of restrictive covenants that would be picked up by any title company when they're doing title work for a sale. So that's how we memorialize that in the public records.
Okay, great. So that's good. I just want to make sure that it gives everybody the opportunity moving forward as well. And this is the same developer that we purchased a property from us in, was it March?
Correct. Property disposition and development agreement to do townhouses at 300 Northwest 27th Avenue.
And we'll get paid on that when it's developed, or when they sell the property at closing?
That when they do a simultaneous closing, so when they have construction financing and they have obtained their building permits, when they close on the construction financing is when the sale and purchase effectuates and the CRA is compensated for the land.
Okay. And then just the last question is, this property value is, again, 150,000?
Right around 152,000. That's the 2026 market value, and that's for both lots combined. So they're each a little over $75,000 in market value.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Very good. Further commission discussion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Fezzik?
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Segerson Eaton?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fournier?
Yes.
Mayor Harton.
Yes. Item 4 is the presentation of the proposed fiscal year 2027 budgets and financing and implementation plans, FY 2027 through 2031, for the East and Northwest CRA districts.
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. McKenna.
Yes, before Ms. Vasquez starts her presentation, I want to once again make sure that our public record is clear as it relates to some of the items in the budget. The master development agreement between the CRA, the city, and Roca Point Partners is a legally binding agreement with a 20-year term. The agreement obligates the CRA and the city to pay for the civic buildings and the infrastructure from all available funding sources. The approval resolutions that were adopted by the city and the CRA confirm that all funding obligations are authorized, including using all available sources of funding to meet their payment obligations. The job of the CRA staff is to ensure that the CRA budget includes the encumbrances and the funds necessary to meet the obligations of the CRA pursuant to the MDA. And that means that so long as the MDA is in place, all the payments in the budget that Ms. Vasquez is going to talk to you about relating to the downtown are legally required. Thank you.
Very good. Ms. Vasquez.
Yes, good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, Board members. Kimberly Vasquez, CRA Project Manager. The item before you right now is the proposed fiscal year 2027 budget, as well as the 5-year strategic plan for both the East and the Northwest for years 2027 through 2031. With that, I'll start with the East. Within the East, you saw a certified value of $849 million. The total value growth was 4.5%, and that was reflected in your commercial at 6.5%. That's where your biggest growth was. The proposed budget as it stands is total sources, which is your revenue, of $41.9 million, and that's tax increment of 8.2, and we do collect from the city, the county, and the North Broward Hospital District. We do have building rentals that we collect revenue from at $194,000. We have investment earnings of $81,600, and then we are reflecting a tax increment bond of $18.9 million. We have a carry forward fund balance of unencumbered, unexpended funds of $14.5 million. Our total uses or expenses are also $41.9 million. And that's in operations, and I wanted to break down the operations a little bit. That's at $2.1 million. That includes an administrative cost for staff of $543,000. That it covers 4 full-time CRA employees. We have 2 employees that are split between the East and the Northwest, so it's 25% to the East and 25% to the Northwest, and that's for the real property manager and the community development housing inspector. We also have 6% that we paid to the city clerk for his services to this board. We are also covering the CRA executive director at 6% and then 15% for the assistant city manager. We did do a hard freeze on 1 position for the project coordinator, as well as we did also freeze 2 part-time intern positions. Our general city cost allocation is funding that we give to the city at $44,908. We have general office expenses at $383,612. That includes our supplies, travel, training, taxes, property maintenance, insurance, rentals, leases. And that, when I say leases, that's for the City Vista space that we split between the East and the Northwest, as well as we do have an off-site storage unit, as well as our copier that we use for our office. We also have the internal service fund charges of funding that we provide to the city for services that they provide back to us at $90,878. And then this is also including the tax increment split with the Mela project at a little over $1 million. So I just wanted to break that down for you. We have debt service at $1.8 million. That includes your 2013 A and B bond series, as well as projected new debt service for the $18.9 million bond. We have contingency reflected at $2.4 million, and then redevelopment projects, which is where the most of your funding is going towards, at $35.5 million. This is how the budget is broken out. Infrastructure and streetscapes, you see the tax increment bond as a revenue of $18.8 million. We have tax increment revenue of $1.6 million, and we were recognizing a carry forward fund balance of unencumbered, unexpended funds at $10.7 million, bringing your total revenue to $31.2 million. You see expenditures below at public parking and capital improvements at $3.1 million, and then the McNabb House and Gardens project at $28 million. We have redevelopment initiatives, which is your incentive programs as well as dissemination of information. It's tax increment revenue at $250,000, incentive programs at $200,000, and dissemination of information at $50,000. Neighborhood stabilization, that was the funding that we utilized for the security services. We're keeping it as a carry forward balance in this budget at $168,000. And then we have property acquisition, which is unencumbered, unexpended funds of $3.7 million. We have consultants and professional services, revenue of tax increment of $170,000, and you see below consultants and professional services at $164,700, and then investment advisor at $5,300 for a total of $170,000. That concludes the East budget at this time. I'll move on to the Northwest. You see in the Northwest, your certified values was $2.3 billion. You saw total growth of 10%, with the increases being in residential at 11% and then in commercial at 11%. That's where your increases came from. We did have new construction as well, recognized in this budget at $50 million. The budget snapshot is as follows. Your total sources of revenue is $51.7 million. You see tax increment, which is city only, at $10.5 million. Miscellaneous at $344,334. You see a bond series of $23.2 million, and then a carry forward fund balance of unencumbered, unexpended funds of $17.6 million. Our total uses also are at $51.7 million, and as with the East, I'll break out the operations, which is projected to be $2.2 million. In the Northwest, you have administrative cost of a little over $1 million. That once again is for four full-time CRA employees, 4 full-time groundskeeping crew members. Of the 4, one of those is currently vacant. We have 3 part-time groundskeeping crew members, and then the 2 employees that are a 25% split between East and Northwest. We also have the city clerk at 6%, the CRA executive director at 6%, 15% for the assistant city manager, and once again, we did the hard freeze for the CRA project coordinator and the 2 part-time intern positions. We have a general city cost allocation of $166,000. And then we have our general office expenses, which is supplies, equipment, travel, training, taxes, insurance, legal services, and water and sewer. We have an internal service fund charge of $342,000. That's also for internal. That's a split that we allocate costs to the Northwest as well as the East for services that are provided from the city to our department. And then with this, we have a tax increment split for Old Town Square at $302,000. We have debt service at $2.1 million. That's for your FY 2022 debt service as well as FY 2027 bond issuance cost as well. We have redevelopment projects at $46.6 million, and then we're showing a reserve of $699,000. The Downtown Master Development Agreement, as approved in June of 2024, this is the allocation of funding for that project. You see tax increment revenue, taxing authority interlocal agreement, and the bond series 2027 for a total of $41.3 million. You see expenditures going to downtown district infrastructure at $27.2 million with the funds of bond, TIF, and interlocal funding. We have downtown land acquisition at $13.1 million. That's interlocal funding as well as bond. And then we have down payment rental assistance program at $500,000 and a contingency at $429,000. This is all per the MDA. Infrastructure and streetscape initiatives, you see your sources is tax increment revenue, and we have a carry forward fund balance to make up a different revenue source of $850,000. This is $300,000 to the Sonata Development Agreement. This is the last year of our payment of $1.5 million to that project. And then we have 11 Northeast First Street, or the Wash House, which is currently out for a request for proposal, due in August, and that's $850,000 in expenses. We have vertical project development, and you see your sources as tax increment revenue and also building rentals of revenue that we get from the rentals. And we have expenditures of building maintenance at $375,000, and then we have our rentals and leases of $181,400. We have redevelopment initiatives, tax increment revenue at $598,000, and then we do have some micro enterprise loan programs. We still have just a handful that we are collecting from. You see 2,000 there. And then we have expenditures going to incentive programs at $400,000, and then dissemination of information at $200,000, for a total of $600,000. Area stabilization. Expenditures, tax increment revenue as your source coming in, and expenditures for redevelopment ambassadors at $354,000. We have additional security and safety at $50,000. And then we have the emergency rehab of housing stock. We carry that annually at $20,000, and that's if the OHUI program ends up without funding and they need to pull from us for anybody who may live in the Northwest. That's $424,000. We have property maintenance and property acquisition. We're showing a revenue source of $3,030,900, and you see property maintenance and special services at $30,900, and then we have property acquisition of $3 million. That's outside of the downtown. Consultants and professional services, tax increment revenue of $286,000. And then the expenditures are demolition services at $10,600. We have consultants at $270,000, and then investment advisors at $5,400. That concludes the proposed budget for FY 2025. I just also wanted to comment within your backup, we did provide the scenarios. They were 1, 2, and 3, which scenario 1 was legislation. If that passes, the reduction for the homestead exemption. Scenario 2 was tax increment revenue deductions, I think all the way from 90% to 50%. And then scenario 3 was the legislation plus tax increment revenue deductions. So I just wanted to make sure that you have that as part of your backup. It was included for the East and the Northwest. The budget's coming to you as proposed and in draft format today, and the final budget comes back on September 15th, 2026. That concludes my presentation.
Very well, thank you for that. Okay, is there any input from the public on this item? Please come forward. Please come forward. Don't be shy.
We all appreciate all the work you're doing, but you forgot about Lighthouse Point. They're part of Broward County. You're only talking about a city of Pompano Beach. We have a $100 million problem when Mr. Perez finds out that you've smashed my house, or smashed the whole cul-de-sac of the Pink Church, and I put that in your hands, Rex Harden, to find out what happened to this Pink Church. And we have 50 units, millionaires. We want to know, why have you left us in such a disgrace?
Ms. Anderson, we're dealing with the CRA budgets right now.
I am too, because Greg Harrison is in charge of the CRA too, and he better point out what happened to the Pink Church.
Well, the Pink Church is not in the CRA.
It's in his district. He takes care of the CRA.
That's true.
And we're in Broward County.
But we're not dealing with the Pink Church or any of that.
Well, I think it's time for you to deal with the Pink Church.
Well, thank you, Ms. Anderson.
Thank you very much,
I
Rex Harden.
appreciate
Please
you.
look into it. You're in charge of taking care of this destruction to the Pink Church.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Next speaker?
That's the way I feel.
Delvin King, 2601 Northwest 12th Street. So, a couple of things.
Mr. King, I'm sorry, Mr. King, give me 1 second while I reset the clock. It wasn't resetting earlier. Give me 1 minute.
Okay.
Yes, you can proceed.
Okay, Delvin King, 2601 Northwest 12th Street. A couple of things I had about the budget, couple of questions. Grounds maintenance. So I seen that there was a line item for ground maintenance. Is that done through a subcontracted company, or is that done through our ground maintenance department here within the city of Pompano? The next thing was the micro enterprise loan program. I see that we only get about $2,000 back a year. I think that is ridiculous versus the amount of money that is owed. So what are we doing to recoup a lot of that money? And I know we talked about bringing that program back, so is there plans for that? And the last thing is the incentive programs. I looked at a lot of the programs that they have on here, and I see there was a line item of $400,000 for that. We need to make it where it's easier to receive these dollars for these incentive programs. I looked at applying for some of these things today, and it's just very hard and complicated to get these incentive programs. And again, I guess it's based off of who you know and who you are in the community. So we need to make sure that the incentive programs, to be honest, there need to be more dollars towards the incentive programs, and there needs to be staff that works directly with this to ensure that they help the residents and the businesses in the Northwest and East CRA that needs these dollars. So the businesses that need them, there should be someone that works directly with them to make sure that they follow through on the whole process. So they shouldn't just be given papers. So again, I need some more information about ground maintenance and recouping dollars for the micro loan fund and bringing that program. Are we going to bring it back? So are we going to put in for the budget to bring that back? Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Further input from the public? Please come forward.
Jocelyn Jackson. Great job, Ms. Vasquez. Could you go to the northwest, the northwest slide where it's for the funding for the rental? If somebody need assistance with rental.
The downtown. Down payment
Right.
rental assistance program.
That's 500,000?
That is correct.
Okay. Is that the payment for if someone was leasing a place and they need to be, you guys was purchasing the property and they was gonna be displaced? Is that what that money is gonna be used for?
This is a program that we've been discussing for approximately a year now. What we're looking at is down payment assistance for maybe a home buyer who doesn't fit within the OHUI parameters. We're going to work with OHUI to where that threshold level may be a little bit higher than what OHUI allows. We've also talked about rental assistance for somebody who may want to rent, like maybe a multifamily within the downtown area. It's yet to be crafted. We have not got to that point yet, but we will be working with the Northwest Advisory Committee on that program.
Okay, so that's just a percentage, what you guys offering right now up front, but we could add more in the future.
Correct. We currently have it forecasted in the 5 years for every year 500,000.
Okay, every year 500,000. And this is only for Pompano residents only, or somebody can just move from Canada and be able to offer the same assistance?
I think we would target Pompano Beach residents. It's really somebody who may be renting an apartment within Pompano and wants to go to the next level of home ownership, so that's what we're going to be targeting. Like I said, OHUI is limited as to the dollar amount of housing that they can provide for because of the median income levels, et cetera. We're going to look to maybe fill in that gap more for a workforce.
Okay, and that's very important, Mayor, because we have not that much funding. You know, everything is being cut. So with this being a part of the CRA and, you know, with the downtown, they allocated those funds, is very, very important for our residents because people don't want to be leasing forever. Another thing I forgot to add earlier too, on Thursday, we got our community involvement engagement meeting at EPAT Larkins. It's going to be Thursday at 6:00 p.m. So I'm looking for all the residents to be a part. Thank you. Great job again, Ms. Vasquez. Keep up the good work.
Very good. Next speaker. Anyone else from the public wish to please come forward?
Good afternoon, Phyllis Smith, Greater Pompano Beach, Greater Pompano, Greater Collier City Civic Association. I don't even know who I am. I was at the first hearing on the budget, and I got a little confused, and I just wanted some clarification on the TIF from Commissioner Fessick. Because I wanted to know, was she asking for TIF funds to be taken from the Northwest CRA and added to the East CRA TIF?
Well,
No, I was not. It's not possible.
I misunderstood. Okay.
yeah, that can't, you can't do that anyway. That's against the law. Funds have to be segregated into the separate districts.
Thank you.
Further input from the public?
Serica Peterson, 2nd Street, Car City. Just to clarify what Ms. Phyllis was thinking about, the TIF was being asked to be split to put into the general fund, and if that happens, will that money ever go back to the Northwest, or is it allocated directly back to the Northwest? I think that's the question she was leaning towards, not for it going towards the east, but being absorbed into the general fund, and then in that case, will it ever go back to the Northwest? You know, to pave roads and stuff, that's how you would absorb it over there. But I do want to speak about the budget. In the event that this budget, let's say, doesn't pass, what happens?
If the budget does not pass,
Just in case, like last year, the first reading, it didn't pass. So I'm just hypothetically wanting to know, like, if this doesn't pass, what happens?
A budget has to pass by law.
there you go.
There's not an option.
Right,
There you go.
but I get has to, but in the event it doesn't, because we have a
Then-
3-3 in some cases, if it doesn't, Armageddon, what happens?
Absolutely Armageddon. That gives the governor the ability to come in, shut down the city of Pompano Beach. No payments, if we have no budget as of September 30, there will be no more payments, no more financial, nothing that we're financially obligated to do, in which case we would be considered a poor-performing government, and then the governor could step in.
Yeah, I remember something like that happening in Opelika, so I hope that doesn't happen here. But I just wanted to know what happens in the event we don't pass and we get a 3-3. Thank you.
Thank you. Further input from the public? Seeing none, public input closed. Commission discussion. East and Northwest budgets. Anybody? Oh, Commissioner Fessick, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say thank you for including this in our backup, but could you please go over it for both the East and the Northwest District, just a minor overview so that anybody watching could also see and understand what we're looking at?
What is, I'm sorry, Commissioner, what is your,
The HS, the split adjustments that she provided in the backup for both the East East. And just while she's looking on getting those together, one of the things that I want to make sure I just clear up is, moving forward, I understand that we have to vote on a budget, but we have 2 separate CRAs, and I'd like to see these items separated when they come back at us, just because we have to agree on them, but I don't want to convolute. If there's something that we don't, there's something in one, I want to make sure we have separate agenda items, so we can discuss them. We can split them now, or we can split them later. That's up to, yeah. We vote on them separately. We vote on them separately.
vote separately?
Sure, there, better.
Much, thank you.
Okay, the document that you're looking at right now is for the East District, and at the very top, this says Scenario 1. This is if the homestead exemption pass, and what we would be looking at as far as our budget beginning in 2028. We ran it for 5-year increments. I don't know how much detail you want me to get into with this.
I feel like as long as you can have,
Basically, beginning in 2028, you would be looking at 3.5 million in tax increment, 3.8 million from the county, and 838,000 from the from the North Broward Hospital District. You basically would be looking at an overall reduction of 1.1 million from the city of Pompano Beach, a reduction from Broward County of 1.2 million. This is over the 5-year period, and about 200,000 from the hospital district. That's for the East. That's if the legislation ballot question passes in November. The next scenario we ran was a Scenario 2, which is actually breaking it down. This is just the TIF reductions without any legislation attached to this. So going from a 95 to 90, you'd be looking at 3.3 million from the city, 3.6 million from the county, and about 795,000 from the hospital district. That's in 2027. So your overall reduction would be from 95 to 90 would be about 2.8 million, 2.6 million, I'm sorry, of reduction in TIF.
just to be clear, that when you're saying reduction, that would be going back to the city's general fund, in that scenario?
That is, well, you would lose from the county and the North Broward Hospital District. Those dollars wouldn't be coming in at all. So you would get 1.1 million back to the city over the 5-year period. I'm going in 5-year increments.
Before you move forward, because I think we're getting the message, but are there any scenarios in here that we looked at a sunset in 2031 and looked at what that would look like? So if that's, because that's been discussed many times while we've been up here. So if the tax bill passes, the homeowner's exemption passes.
Are you talking?
Stepping it back, it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't make sense to not take the money from Broward County or from the hospital district. If we looked at pulling some things back, because we know that over a 5-year period, we're gonna have to deal with needing more money and making up more money in the general fund. Have you run that scenario? Because that was really the concept, I think, that I was reaching for and asking for, to sort of play with those numbers to see what it looked like, both our bond out, if we were to bond out, as per this plan, to have a plan that also saw both sides of things. And I'm not seeing that in the east plan right now. I'm not seeing that in the northwest plan either.
Are you talking more of a long-range plan type scenario? Is that what you're talking about? We did one internally through 2049 for the Northwest, and we did one through 2061 in the East. It was easier to digest it in 5-year increments. So that's based off your plan that you have now, which is 5 years, and then we ran these in 5-year increments.
The other thing is that as part of the budget, we're also passing a plan. Is that correct, Ms. McKenna? It's a plan and a budget?
I don't know that Ms. Vasquez presented the strategic finance plan in front of you today, but I believe it will come as well in September. Is that right?
What was presented was the 5-year plan with the 2027 budget. We're only approving the 2027 budget as of today, and then the 5-year strategic finance plan is out years. The finance plan, as it stands today, we do increments of, we do 5-year plans just to try to forecast to see where we're going in the future. But those are all speculative as based on what things may change, projects that may come up, and the importance of those projects. We just try to forecast out to see where our numbers may be in the future. We do it at a 3.5% to 4% escalation rate annually moving out. So that's what you have before you today.
Okay, thank you. How does this, for the Northwest District, how is this, well, I guess, let me stay in the East for right now. So with the East District, I mean, we've talked about it many times about the potential with McNabb Park, McNabb House, Botanical Gardens, whatever you want to call it. But this extra $18 million bond would essentially lock us in, and we would not be able to sunset the CRA if we so chose, until the bond obligations were met.
That is correct.
Which means we have
your East District goes to 2061. When we run the bond at 18.8 million, we're looking at 2052 for debt service.
Okay. Has anybody done the projections, and I'm sure the CRA has, about when the W is, so the W is projected to break ground in, I think, the fall. And they are pretty good related about delivering their buildings pretty quickly. What is the revenue, expected revenue or TIF revenue from that when they are open, or projected revenue? Do we know?
We have projected it out coming online in 2031, and we did put it down into a reserve account because we don't know exactly when it may come on, because it generally takes about 18 months once they get their CO for it to hit the actual property appraisers. We're projecting it at It's kind of hard to say that it's just the W, because we do have the W coming online. We also have the 2400 East Atlantic, as well as the Pompano Hotel. So those three, you actually have 4 coming in Atlantico too. So we are putting it down into a reserve account, and we're looking at you're looking at a new construction forecast of 5.3 million.
And that's 5.3 million in expected TIF that would flow back to the CRA, correct?
In 2031.
2031-ish. And that, how are you getting your numbers, I mean, based on that? Are you projecting it all in terms of for any potential market growth, or are you just using today's growth numbers?
We're using today's growth numbers, but we're escalating up 4% annually.
Okay, so we're being conservative with our escalation.
Correct, correct.
Well, that's, and then so of that 5.3 represents 95%, so 5% of, the remaining 5% would be back to the general fund.
That is correct.
Okay. Is there a world where we've done the models, or you've seen a plan where we tried to do a sunset in the 2031, and maybe chose to amend our plan somewhat because of what we're facing with a very likely possibility of the homeowners assessment coming, or homeowners exemption coming through? Or the ECRA specifically, not the Northwest.
Yes. Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, new and trans CRA Director. That depends solely on you as the board. Last time you voted was a 3-3. Right now, we have extended beyond 2031 with the last amendment to 2061. But let me loop back on what the goal of this agency is economic development. It's spending money to make money. It's about return on investment.
I agree. I'm going to reclaim my time for a second. Thank you. I understand the CRA, and we've all heard it, and we understand its return on investment. And so,
well, why is sunset a good thing?
I know
That is generating
Thank you. I'm gonna
the
reclaim
revenue for you.
I appreciate that, and we all understand it. So we want to get out of here before 5, I think. So here's the deal. I fully appreciate what you guys have done, and you have done a great job. And we obviously, look, there's $5.3 million coming back to us in 2031 and projected. So if you look at that, and if we're locked until 2052, my concern is residents have been promised as a 30-year quick hit for a small area of town. And correct me if I'm wrong, but like you said, you just put some staff on freeze as part of this budget, projects on freeze. And one of the last things I heard from you, Mr. Tran, was that you were a bit understaffed at one of the last meetings. So I would much rather take your resources and direct them to the Northwest District, where we are locked into an MDA, where we do have some things that need to be done, than to continue to, and to give residents the break in 2031. I would like to see a plan that does that. And if there's 2 separate plans, that's fine, but I'd like to see what those look like, because then it shows that we've actually been heard up here, at least 3 of us. We've asked for certain things, and I'd like to see what both sides look like and both number schemes look like. And then what that means for the city, because we're making some tough decisions on our budget as well. Thank you.
Okay. Vice Mayor, sure.
Thank you. I guess I'll respond to the question that was out there, why get rid of a good thing? Well, when you've accomplished your mission and you have other bills to pay, you take your victory lap and you move on. So I agree with Commissioner Fesick on the East CRA. We will likely be facing a lot of pressure on our general fund. This 5-year plan happens to go through 2031, so it's got an interesting end date in your 5-year plan. Of course, there's a bond in here and some other things, but I would like to see a plan to what the financials would look like, where we slim down the McNabb House and Botanical Gardens project. Let's get Plan 0.5 going, like I've said for years now, because that house has been sitting there for 6 years. Let's keep counting, and nothing. We really haven't accomplished anything that the residents can see or use. So I would like to see a plan for the remaining 5 years of the East CRA, a reduced, slim down plan for the McNabb House and Gardens, something that if property tax reform does pass, and we do need to reclaim some of this money from the East CRA, something that we can actually afford to maintain, because the Botanical Garden, none of us have actually seen how we're going to afford to maintain that. You are showing between carry forwards and TIF funding for the next 5 years, you're showing $66 million of sources. And I think we can probably accomplish something pretty good with those $66 million over 5 years. Even when you take out the overhead from the CRA and the debt that we have to pay on prior bond issuances, there's quite a bit of money left there to execute something at the McNabb House and Gardens over the next 5 years. So I personally would also like to see a plan that looks an awful lot like the headlines here, 2027 through 2031, but ends at that point instead of continuing with a debt service till 2052, just based on just using the city of Pompano TIF. So That's number one. Number two, what is the property acquisition in this plan? You have $3.7 million in this year's budget for property acquisitions in the east. What are we buying right now in the east? Is it something to create a parking lot near the botanical gardens? What are we doing?
It's for all that. It can be any of that. You can't do redevelopment without property assemblage. So we had 3.7 million in there as TIF. The bond would have been, 22.3 last year, so we reduced the bond amount. So let me clarify something also, is you have to spend money to make money. We have a proven track record, and I know that you don't want to go back to the beach, but it is a 20-to-1 return. On every CRA dollar, you get 20 times that on the beach. That will come back to the city when those developments, those multi-million-dollar developments, hit the tax rolls.
And
That
I
has
agree with
not
you,
come
but I
yet.
think the East CRA, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we keep doing.
No, I
this-
mean,
I believe
Look,
that
a little
the
more
East CRA is
current.
mainly invested. We have one big project left. I believe that you have done a phenomenal job. I believe you should write a book, take a victory lap, and focus in the Northwest also. I couldn't give you
away
any
from
more
the
credit.
beach and go back to the Mela Pompano.
But-
That is another example of our investment. We bridge a gap of 9.1 million for the Mela. That was parking lots, as you recall. You weren't on the dais then, but that approval from this agency generated a $98.2 million taxable value from a parking lot.
Understand, Nguyen, and I
So
look
that
at
is
the
10
geographic
times the return.
phenomenal. But the city is going to be facing $20-30 million of shortfall. So we have other issues. I understand you need to advocate
I get
for what
that,
you
but
do.
you're not on the city commission right now. You're on the CRA board doing economic development. So
And
if you want to
exact-
refocus yourself
You're
to
lecturing me
economic
right now.
development-
I'm actually going to cut you off and ask that you
Mayor,
please stop. I
Mayor.
really don't appreciate that.
Mayor's laughing, but
I
he's
know
not
where I'm sitting. And I know what my jobs
and I
are and the
know-
multiple hats
And
that
I know what
wear.
I'm saying. So we have a
I said
disagreement.
I know where I'm sitting.
We have a disagreement.
Let's try and calm it down. Let's try and
I just
calm it
don't
down.
need to be lectured by
Okay,
staff
let's try-
anymore
Okay. let's
publicly.
try and-
It's gotten to a point where the disrespect is really.
It is,
We're-
and
we're-
if it was
It's,
someone
no,
else, the
I'm
mayor would have
speaking, Mayor. You're
interrupted
actually
before.
contributing right now.
I apologize. I was trying to just reinforce, we're going to calm it down here. Go
Understood.
ahead. I'm sorry. Vice Mayor, go ahead.
The idea that staff sits here and debates us
Yes, that's.
is and tells us why we're wrong and debates our opinions and our analysis and how we're doing our jobs that we were elected to do by the people of this city is completely inappropriate in my view. I understand if I have a question or if we're trying to educate ourselves on a project, but for me to be told how to do my job, I think publicly, I think is inappropriate, and it happens all too often around here right now. But it only happens to some of us.
Yes, right.
So that's maybe a word to Mr. Harrison to maybe work on the culture around here to ensure that we are all kind of I want to give the respect, but I need to get it back. And when I am challenged by staff for every word I say publicly, that's a problem. That's a cultural problem. So I am asking what a budget would look like with the $66 million that you'll have over the next 5 years in the East CRA if some subset of this board at someday wanted to change the plan and sunset it in 2031. Or if we end up in a budget crisis where we are 3-3 and we can't agree and we need to look at two different ideas and two different plans and come to some compromise. So that's what I would like to see. I'm sure you won't do it because it's 3-3 and we don't have enough votes, but we are going to have to pass a budget. Like Ms. McKenna said, that's not an option. So if half of your board wants to see what a different plan looks like going forward, then I would suggest, Mr. Harrison, that you listen to half of that board in an effort to set the tone of compromise and to try to move this body forward in a way so we can pass a budget in September. It's just my advice. So that's with respect to the East CRA. The Northwest CRA, I had a question on the land sales. So in the 5-year plan, there's revenue in from the Downtown Public-Private Development Agreement. Starting in 2028, there is land sale revenue. How do I map this to the overall sources and uses model for the MDA and the land sales there. Are all of the land sales, oh, I didn't see you, I'm so glad you're here. Did you, I was wondering, I didn't.
Trying to hide. It's getting
I
so.
didn't see you here, and I was like, if Ms. Sybil's not here, we might not be able to answer this. Okay, perfect. So how do I map that to the land sales in the sources and uses model for the entire project? What part goes to the CRA, or all of the initial land sales to the CRA, or is there some assumption in percentage split?
Good afternoon, Suzette Sybil, Assistant City Manager. Vice Mayor, so as Ms. McKenna stated, obviously we have a master development agreement, and that married the city and the CRE together in terms of the sources and uses for the project. So there are two main sources of revenue to fund the project. They're land sales and they are TIF revenues that the new development generates. And as we stated all along, the project is self-sustaining. So you do have models from last year. We are in the process of updating those models, similar to how Newen has updated his models and provide different scenarios for tax reform. We've also had movement in interest rates because we are looking at private financing. Unfortunately, the rates we were looking at last year, they've gone up about 30 basis points. So where we started at 4.7%, we're now at like 5.1%, I believe. So I say all that because of everything that's happened and having to shift to private financing in the fall based on the decision of this body. We are currently working on all those moving parts, and you will have revised models. I think we had provided a couple of scenarios to you last year. So this is a long-term project. It's a real estate project, and in the real estate world, things are always pivoting. What I can tell you is you have a great team, and I will say that proudly, of experienced professionals. And thank God we had the wherewithal to provide flexibility in this plan. Obviously, I've provided a lot of information to you over the last year, including information on interest rates, abatements, deferrals. All of that has allowed us the luxury of having the flexibility to move with this plan. Like I said, it's a long-term project, and I will be providing the board with updates and all of that after working with our experts.
I had a really simple question. I appreciate that update on the project, but I had a really simple question when I look at the numbers. In here, there are land sales starting in fiscal year 2028.
Correct.
Are there other land sale amounts somewhere in a city budget or somewhere else, or is this 100% of the assumed land sales?
No, there are additional land sales, because you mean land sale revenues coming in, because I think acquisitions.
Because we have a model from the MDA, and I understand that it's going to change, but in that model, there's assumptions about land sale revenue in fiscal year 2026, 27, 28, and every year forward.
Right, so it's about over 6 or 7 years, so there are additional land sales beyond whatever year this 5-year plan stops at.
So I guess all I'm asking is the total, let's say the aggregate amount of land sales that the city assumes is going to happen in fiscal year 2028. Is all of that represented here in this number in the Northwest budget, or is there some other amount in a city budget or some?
No, it's all. So everything, just let me back up, and Ms. McKenna can back me up on this. All of the revenues has to first flow into the trust fund. Legally, we have to do that.
This is where it shows up.
That's where it shows up. So the land sales are in there.
This is 100%.
Correct.
So when we get a revised analysis of the MDA, initially there were land sales in fiscal year 26 and 27, and they were much higher in 28, 29, 30. So everything has slid out multiple years and is lower than the initial models we had.
It's slid out. I won't say it's lower. Like I said, I'm working on the model right now, and we'll provide that to the board when we have it from our experts.
Okay, so for the 5 years or the 4 years, I can see.
So the timing has shifted.
So
that's what you're saying.
Slid out several years. This is that same.
A few years.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's all I'm trying to understand is this.
The land sales you see in the years is what we're projecting, right, for the project.
This is a glimpse into an update of what we are going to see if I were to ask for an update.
You don't have to ask one. I'm telling you, you're going to get it.
Perfect. But this is my first look at what I'm going to see.
Exactly. Yes.
All I'm trying to understand here.
All right.
Thank you. So, what was I at here? Okay, I think that is my only question here in the Northwest. But. So thank you.
Okay.
Suzette. I'm glad you're here. But with respect to the East, I really would like to see a plan, or I mean, we could just dump this into a spreadsheet and come up with our own estimate of what it would look like if we didn't issue the bond. and see how much money there would be to do the gardens spread out over the years. So I guess if, Mr. Harrison, if you don't want to ask staff to do it, I guess we'll just have to do one ourselves. So thank you.
Very good. Commissioner Perkins? I'm
Well,
sorry.
we asked last year and it didn't happen, so I'm just, in the past, if we can't get 4 votes, we generally don't get what we've asked for. So I know that half of us, I'm guessing half of us up here, I don't know that, would like to see a different perspective on the East CRA, and last year when we asked for it, we didn't get that. So if are you going to provide us a hypothetical or a illustrative model of what the East CRA would look like if we sunset it in 2031?
We can provide all the hypotheticals you want, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. It's only hypothetical when, at the moment. Thanks.
Very good. Commissioner Perkins?
Thank you. I have a million zillion questions for the East and the Northwest CRA, but I haven't, excuse me, I haven't met one-on-one with staff yet. So initially today, I would vote yes for both, but I would like to meet with you, Ms. Vasquez, so that we can go over some of this one-on-one before our final vote on the 15th.
Yes, there's no vote today. This is just coming to you in a draft proposed format today.
We're only having one vote on September 15th?
That is correct.
So second one.
That's correct.
Okay, so if I can get with you or staff or anyone to answer some of the questions that I have tons of.
I'm always available to meet,
Okay,
Commissioner.
thank you.
Very good. Commissioner Fessick?
Thank you. I had a couple questions related to the ECRA, since it was brought up about property acquisition. Do you have the property address? Do you guys have you identified the property addresses for the acquisition?
We normally don't publicize the addresses due to the fact that it may run the market price of the property up. We do have an internal document that we do work within, but we don't normally publicize the addresses.
Is that the same document that was in the presentation in January of last year?
I don't recall.
Identified future parking locations? Green boxes?
Are you talking about in the presentation itself? I don't know, did we project any? Yeah, we had a parking plan, but I don't know as we projected. I'll let you speak to that.
Cassandra Lemisserie, Real Property Manager. So we have 2 assemblies that we're trying to complete in the ECRA. We do have 5 properties that are targeted for acquisition that would complete those assemblies, but as Ms. Vasquez said, because we don't want to show our hand, we typically don't advertise those. It's pretty obvious if you look at our current assemblies where you would purchase properties to fill in those puzzle pieces.
Okay, I'll just ask for that in general then. Separately, administrative costs for both the Northwest and the East. You talked about this yesterday briefly during our budget meeting with the City Commission, and so just wanted to say, so what does that look like, the 6% and the 5%, is it 5% in the East, I believe? What does that represent in dollar amounts?
In dollar amount? It's about $154,000 in totality.
Okay, for both the East and the Northwest?
It's split.
In split, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Just because that was a question I had for yesterday, but it wasn't answered. Okay. I want to go ahead and express to Mr. Harrison while I have the opportunity that I don't want to do a hypothetical. I would like to see the same level of care put into whatever you're proposing with the sunset. And it doesn't have to have a whole planned project. We can just say, even if it's rehab McNabb Park and build out the house for whatever, right? Just to basically build it to a vanilla structure if that's what it takes, so that we have something we can give back to the public before 2031, ideally. But I'd like to see what that looks like, and not as a hypothetical, but as a plan A, a plan B, so that we can have a, just like we have two documents we can review, and that will lead us to a place where we can find compromise. This is going to be my position moving forward, so we're all clear, we're all on the same page. I have sat here for well over a year and a half now, and I would agree with my colleagues that this has not been a fun first couple of entry into political politics, within internal politics. Everybody out there, you're great. Residents are great. This has been trying because in order to do my job, and this is not just directed at you, I want to make sure that's clear. In order to do my job collectively, Mr. Harrison, we look to you to make sure that certain things are handled. We look to our city attorney, we look to our city clerk, we look to our city internal auditor, and collectively, there are some things that have happened lately that do not allow me to do my job well. Blocks, additional charges for things, not providing documents altogether when I have been trying to do due diligence so I can make the right decisions while I'm sitting here. So I would like to see from you for at least until November, just make it nicer. Let's try to get through things here. Let's try to work together. Let's try to treat each other with respect. And I'm asking you please to do this with full intent to try to make it successful. I haven't seen that from you either. So I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Commissioner Segerson-Eaton.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to bring it back to the budget and the CRAs, with the Northwest CRA, we have an opportunity to create or to build new commercial properties as the CRA succeeds in its plan with the master developer. Those tax revenues will come back to the CRA, the Northwest CRA, and into the city. And I think the Northwest CRA sunsets in 2040?
2049.
2049. That will generate more and more TIF. So the idea for me of sunsetting and why 2031, well, we know why. Because that's when the CRA originally, the east side, was going to sunset. And we have about $29 million over this 5 years until 2031 that we will be receiving from the county and the hospital districts. So why just throw away money? You know, and then we have already voted, this body, there were different people on this body at the time, but we voted to extend the CRA out to 2061?
Correct.
Yes. And so the main purpose, I think, of the CRAs, and I do agree with Mr. Trans, is to create an environment where people will want to come, people will want to invest, like we had on the beach. There's no question that the beach CRA, the East CRA, has attracted so many other developments. Ritz-Carlton down the way, that's not in the CRA. Solamar, Casamar, those are not in the CRA. I think the only one that is the W, correct? Or is that not? Is the W in the CRA?
Yes, it will be, once constructed.
Thank you.
Yes.
Which will offer more revenue. So at a future time, we may be, let me ask you too, is the Riverside surface parking lot in the CRA as well?
Yes.
It is. Okay, because parking is always a problem. So I'm extremely proud of those CRAs, and with the hope of the Northwest CRA doing what we've been talking about it doing. We may start out one way, and like things in life do, they often change. But the important thing is that we take that first step and move that project along. The same thing with the botanical gardens. You know, there's so many, the North Miami Botanical Gardens are just an incredible tourist attraction and would be a great thing for our city. So prior to moving the McNabb House, which was donated to the city, and putting it on the donated land from the McNabb family. There was nothing but vagrants, drug use. We had CCTV cameras all over. I know because my daughter lived a couple blocks away, and I could not take my grandchild to that park. Is there something that's funny, Commissioner Fessick?
I'm just smiling at something, yes.
Oh, very funny. Well, if you wouldn't mind, I have the floor.
I
Thank
did
you.
not interrupt you.
Yes, I think you did.
It's not
So, as I said, there was nothing but problems with the McNabb Park. Could not use the playground equipment because people were sleeping on it. There was drug use, there was alcoholism, there was all kinds of activities, unsavory activities that took place in that park. And that park brought in no revenue whatsoever. It cost the city money for BSO, for code, for maintenance. It cost the city money, and it was sort of a hazard because there was a lot of crime that was committed there. So now we have an opportunity with the Botanical Gardens, which I think there's 3 on this dais that have rejected the idea of having the Botanical Gardens this entire time, saying they'll never vote for an $18.9 million bond. So there we are, we're sort of at a stalemate. We've come, the previous body came to the, was of the opinion that would be a great thing for our city. So now we're stuck. Now we're going to go back to an empty park that's going to need maintenance, that's going to need police protection, that's going to generate no tax revenue. And I just don't think that's a good idea at all. So also, the East CRA and the pier and the restaurants, Oceanic, Beach House, all of those restaurateurs spent money in the city because they believed in what was being created. And they generate revenue as well that goes back to the city. So economic development is what the CRAs do. Now, if at a later date, perhaps, you know, we can talk about sunsetting at some future date, maybe with some future body, but as it stands now, a lot of work is always put in. We've had great success. And the East Side CRA, we need to do a little bit more. We need to maybe do a parking garage, another parking garage, who knows? But I certainly am looking forward to that same formula working in the Northwest CRA, because it's been way too many years and nothing has happened there. Thank you, Mayor.
Very good. Further, Commissioner Smith?
I just believe in economic development in Pompano Beach, and I believe that the CRA has done a fantastic job to do that. Pompano is not the town that it was before. Pompano is the place that people want to move to. They want to live here. They want to make it their home base for their businesses. They want a vacation here. I think the McNabb Botanical Gardens is something that is, we thought outside the box and will be an attraction that will bring tourists in, an attraction for our residents, a place for education. And I can see a lot of future in that project. I'd hate to see that stopped. I would like to see it move forward, and I think a lot of people feel that same way. It'd be an attraction. Just like the pier brings people in, our beach brings people in, and all the buildings that we've done brings people in. They want to make Pompano Beach their home or their destination. Economic development has been good for Pompano, and this area is working. So that's where my stand is to support this area and to support this budget. Mayor?
Very good. I've got Vice Mayor.
Thank you. I need to correct a couple things that were said by Commissioner Segerson-Eaton, even though she's not here. So first, there was an assertion that some of us want to give up the county and the hospital district TIF funding of $29 million, and there's no basis in reality for that. No one has ever said sunset the CRA now. The CRA will sunset in 2031. Initially, that's when it was supposed to, and that is when we will lose the matching TIF from the county and the hospital district. We will lose that no matter what. So yes, we should keep the CRA in existence until the day that we have no matching funding from any other taxing entities, and at that point, we would sunset. We are not giving up free money. So that's number one. I have never said that, and I don't think any of my colleagues ever have. There was another assertion that McNabb Park was just a waste because it was just a park and it wasn't generating revenue and it was full of vagrants. Well, parks don't generate revenue. That's not what they are designed to do. So if we are going to transition from a park to something that generates revenue, that's actually a decision that has to be made, and there's a loss of the park and risk in the other venture that we take on. So that is a decision that a board should not take lightly. I mean, again, she's not here, but if I was suggesting to take a lane out of Copens Road at Dixie Highway and turn Highlands Park into a commercial venture, perhaps someone, might feel differently. So some empathy and some ability to listen to other commissioners who know the surrounding neighborhoods and their constituencies would be useful up here. And then lastly, there was a question, because also it didn't seem like she knew what was in the CRA district, whether the W would be, of course it is, whether the Oceanside lot is, of course it is. So I met with actually Ms. Vasquez and Mr. Tran not too long ago, and one of the topics that came up was parking. And it sounded like the CRA just wasn't involved in the Oceanside project or parking lot at all. And I was frustrated by that because you're right, if we are going to have a CRA, which we do, they should be involved in projects that are in the CRA, and if there's a way to create economic opportunity, to do some redevelopment and potentially increase a tax base through even a parking project, we should have the CRA involved. And that is my opinion, that the CRA should be part of that. So if there's some mixed use that could go on, or if there's something more creative that could also drive revenue, then they should be part of that. And that's what I want to say about parking. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. McKenna?
Yes, if I may. I just, again, want to be sure our public record is clear. At the last meeting, I read into the record what the CRA plan provides for McNabb Park, and the decision to make it a McNabb House and Botanical Gardens with a restaurant, an event pavilion, and the other matters that are included in the master plan, that decision has already been made. It is not a decision for the future. It has been made. That's what our plan requires, and that's what the CRA staff has presented to you, so that they're doing their job, which is to bring to you what is needed to comply with the CRA plan. So I just, again, want to be sure that our record is clear. The decision about McNabb House and Botanical Gardens has already been made.
Thank you. Mr. Fessick.
Thank you. So yeah, I wanted to kind of touch on a few things that Commissioner Eaton, Segerson Eaton said. I had a problem yesterday with some capital improvement plan stuff that if you look, there's District 1, we're gonna get us, on my capital improvement plan, even though I've proposed a lot of things at our initial meetings, we're gonna get a cemetery, essentially, a moratorium, or there's some sort of crematorium or something. We're not crematorium, thank you, whatever it is called. But basically, if you die in District 1, we got a place for you in the cemetery is basically what's part of our capital improvement plan. Our parks have slowly been eroded into development. And I'm not saying that it's good or bad, I'm saying that there has to be a balance. And we gave up a large piece of our park for what is a beautiful pier fishing village area. We gave up as a community, not as one district, but as an entire city, to realize the benefits from a revenue standpoint. We did that. We invested that land, and we did so with the plan of development of that area to make it something bigger and better. We've already invested, we've already rode on the ride, we've gotten on the roller coaster, we've ridden it a few times. Some people here want to get off the ride because we realize that there's now, if you look at the parks in District 1 specifically, there's less and less parks. There are less and less parks in District 1. And the lift stations or the little pocket parks are not the same as a neighborhood community park. And truthfully, any redevelopment option or or even property assessment or property acquisition should really go towards building up things that surround a beautiful neighborhood park. And I would fully support a fleshed out, beautiful version of a park and potentially community center like we used to have, and make sure that it's taken care of. I am never, ever going to sit here again and listen to how it was homeless and drug-ridden and everything else, because that is a property that is Atlantic and Federal Highway. It's east of Federal Highway. It is in one of the nicer areas of Pompano Beach, East Federal Highway, that commands some of the highest tax values. And you're going to tell me that there was so much of a problem with this park that we just had to come in and fix it. That's our own fault. That's management's fault. It is not properly managing your assets. It is not properly protecting your residents, because that should never have happened. And I guarantee you it doesn't happen continually. I can tell you right now, I go to Community Park, I go to Kessler Park. Do we have occasional issues? Yes. Is it repaired? Yes. I've been to Hunter's Manor Park. I've been to, what's the little park on the corner? Annie Adderley? Been to that park. Are there occasional issues? Yes. Cleaned up. So never, ever say to me again that we're living in some absolute miserable place, because you're just making Pompano look bad. Pompano's great. Pompano Beach is great, and my community and my district is great, and the neighborhood that surrounds it is great. It has been out of use for 6 years with a fence around it, and as of last year, with barely any notice, as we were standing at a ribbon cutting, we get an email, and the whole bit of our park is being ripped out, which was still being used, without still a plan, without still a restaurateur that was supposed to pay for everything, and people are mad. People are still mad, and I'm mad for them. I'm mad too. So I understand that there's a plan. The whole concept is that 4 of us, which is now a 2/3 majority, we're not part of that plan. As Commissioner Smith is new, Vice Mayor and Commissioner Perkins, I believe, may have voted against it, and I'm new, if you will. So that's now 2/3 of the body that was not here to make that decision, and we have the right to make a motion or to amend that plan as a board. And given the discontent with how things have been moving forward from a lot of residents and how quickly, and the struggles not having somebody come in, I think it's only appropriate that we actually look at that opportunity. This is what we talk about when you hear me being frustrated. This is what the residents are frustrated by. The lack of working together to find the right thing. It's not all against, all for. It's finding the happy medium. And right now, the happy medium is the East CRA and the East District 1 has given you enough. We're not covering parking because last time we were told you're not going to cover parking. We'll cover assemblages, but that parking is for the parking district. There is no way that I can, and by the way, the big parks that we do have are not actually owned by the city. Allsdorf is fined, Exchange Club is fined. They're not our parks. McNabb is our city asset. And listen, I'm not going to be done with this one for a while, but I'm going to tell you right now, I want to see something beautiful there. I want to see it open. I want to see something activated there, but I do not and will not support bonding out and borrowing more money and extending the life of the CRA until 2052, because that is not okay with me, and it's not okay with the residents I support. Thank you. I represent. Thank you.
Very good.
Mayor, may I respond?
No, 'cause why are we going back and forth with staff? She made a statement.
I need to correct the record.
Wait. Time out. Commissioner Fessick, thank you.
There's no response.
That's great. Okay, I've got the floor now. Thank you. Mr. Tran, if you've got something you'd like to add, go ahead and add.
Are you out of order?
I do. The statement that was made about the park not being used for 6 years, it was not being
Out of
used
order, Mayor.
well before that.
I'm done. Thank you. This is the disrespect. This is the disrespect that we mean, by the way, and I'm actually done.
Well,
this is ridiculous. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Well, anyway. So Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Thank you. Thank you. Mrs. Anderson, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Anderson. Ms. Anderson, I'm going to ask you, please. Please, quiet down. Miss Anderson, please. Thank you. Thank you.
Mayor, thank you. For the record, we purchased if you remember, we purchased the chamber site and added that to the park. So 75% of that is open space. So we added more open space to McNabb Park.
Okay. I've got a question. We've lost a lot of members here, but I've got a question. Someone from the public asked earlier about grounds maintenance. Do we do that ourselves, or does that contracted out?
The grounds maintenance in the Northwest are city employees. That's why they're part of the administrative budget.
Very good. Thank you. Just wanted to get that on the record for that individual. So, Ms. Anderson, I'm sorry. Ms. Anderson, I'm going to ask you to be quiet, and I'm being serious about this now. We need to get through this meeting, and we're almost done. Miss Anderson, this is Miss Anderson. Miss Anderson, this is your final warning. Please, I don't want to. Just please sit down. Please sit down, Miss Anderson. Please. You don't have to leave. You can just sit down and be quiet. Thank you. We have to be able to move forward with the meeting. Thank you, Miss Anderson. Thank you. So anyway, I just wanted to make a couple of comments. I mean, I'm sorry everybody left the meeting here. I mean, it doesn't show very much goodwill towards others, but there were some comments made by Commissioner Fessick just a moment ago about that people are frustrated with the lack of cooperation, and that really kind of jarred my memory there. And it's, that lack of cooperation seemed to start on December 10th last year. There was a vote that was taken just shortly after the election took place on December 10th, where there were several key items on the city commission agenda which they died in a 3-3 vote. Now, I know this is the CRA meeting, but that was the city commission meeting. But you want to talk about a lack of cooperation and a lack of getting along, that's where I see it started. So, also, Ms. Sybil, I've got a question for you. You mentioned earlier, now granted the MDA and the CRA and the city are all kind of intermingled, but you mentioned something about interest rates and the cost for the interest is going up on the private financing?
Yes, Mayor. We have we talk about public financing as a city issuing, and obviously we all realize that getting tax exempt rates is a lot more affordable for taxpayers, right? Mm-hmm. We also talk about private financing, which means we end up financing through the developer, which is ultimately what happened last year when the commission did not approve public financing. The rates for private financing are simply higher than what you would get for a 30-year bond yield, a tax-exempt rate for the city. We usually get favorable rates as a public entity. We usually tick against the 30-year treasury yields as part of the private financing, and that unfortunately has been going up. We started at about 4.7% when we started looking at our models last year, all the way back to 24 actually, and now we're at about 5.12% on that interest rate. So it has moved in the wrong direction. We were hopeful it would come down or at least stabilize. So when I talked about the models before, is all of those changing parameters, including tax reform. We're reworking all of the models, and we've been transparent all along. We've met with all the commissioners. We've presented at about 6 or 7 public meetings last year, in addition to having roundtable meetings in the community where we spoke explicitly about our options and our costs associated with this project. The Master Development Agreement, I fully understand. There are members of the Commission, CRE Board, that do not support the project and would like to amend the agreement. We simply do not have 4 votes to do that. So city staff, we're doing our jobs. We're obligated to move the project forward, as is Roca Point Partners, our partners on this project as the master developer. We have those obligations in the Master Development Agreement, and we have such a great team. We have the right partner, and the team has been working very hard in everything they've been doing to get this project up and going despite the obstacles. We fully understand that there's a massive return on investment for this city and the Northwest community with this project. I've heard the community, I've heard the concerns about displacement and what's going to happen to properties outside of the redevelopment area. I certainly would have loved to do public financing because it certainly would have allowed us to have a bigger chunk of change to be able to put back into the community to a lot of the programs, down payment assistance, rental assistance. We talked about micro grants came up at the last meeting. I'm very supportive of all of those programs. I've said that from the beginning. I'm the face of this project. And I think that does speak volumes, hopefully, in what I've been able to get out to the community and commit to doing. The one thing I do want to say, and I'm glad there wasn't any discussion about the Northwest and sunsetting or taking it down a percentage in terms of putting money back in the general fund, because ultimately those incentive programs, if you take the money out of the Northwest and you put it in the general fund, we cannot legally use the funds for those purposes. On the city side, as an example, we have down payment assistance and rental assistance through our housing department. Those programs are funded with CDBG, SHIP funds, and home funds. They're grant funds, so legally we can use it. We're not using taxpayer dollars to do that. Because it's in the CRA trust fund, you can use the funding for that. On the flip side, I get the argument, right? It's in the CRA trust fund. We can't use it to pave roads. I'm committed at some point to recommending to this board and the city commission to look at a split going forward. All we're asking for is to help us stabilize this project. We've entered to a binding contract with a developer who's working very hard on this project, doesn't deserve all of the flip back they've been getting publicly. They've been great partners, they're hard workers. We're all working very hard on this project for the residents of Pompano Beach. I don't have a personal stake in this project, Mayor, I don't. I'm doing this for the residents, and I'm doing it because I care about Pompano Beach, and I've been doing it for them for over 20 years, and I will continue to do that. So I just want to thank you all for your time. I know it got a little heated. The only thing I would say is, we appreciate the ability to speak. We don't always have to all agree, but I think when I come up here to speak, I don't want to be interrupted as well. I want to be heard. And if after that you want to respond and say you don't agree with me, I'm fine with that as well. We do get a little heated sometimes. I think it happens on both sides. We've seen it on the dais. We've seen it from staff. But we're all committed. I think we all do care about the residents of Pompano Beach. We don't always agree. But we are doing our best to try to be respectful. We just want our voices to be heard as well. We want residents to have complete information, and that's always what we've said from the beginning.
Well, on behalf of
I've said more than you ask. I'm sorry. I tend to ramble on.
That's okay. On behalf of the residents, I want to say thank you for all your efforts. But getting back to that interest rate. So in other words, because we're obligated to do the private financing now, the price tag for the private financing is actually going up based upon the increase in interest rates?
It is. And, we're hoping we had a lot of abatements built into the project, which we did a lot of flexibility there because we knew that the markets ebb and flow. And that's just another tool that we have in our toolbox to kind of rework everything. But yes, it is moving higher compared to public financing rates. Those rates aren't going up as aggressively as the Treasury yield, the 30-year Treasury yield.
Right, which the public financing option was not supported by 3 members of the commission, and 3 members of the commission did support the public option.
Yes.
Just want to point that out, correct?
That's correct.
That's correct, yes. And because we could not get agreement to support from the commission to support the public financing, which would have been considerably less expensive for the taxpayers of Pompano Beach, that's why we're forced to go with the private financing, correct?
That's correct, Mayor.
Right, and somewhere in the vicinity of $100 million, is that correct?
Right, that was what it was estimated.
Somewhere in the vicinity of $100 million extra taxpayer dollars is being spent over the next 30 years that doesn't need to be spent. Would that be accurate?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Can I make one other point? Because there was a comment, I'm not sure what, and Nguyen can certainly address it. I know the Vice Mayor said there was a conversation with Nguyen and he doesn't agree with the garage. I'm not sure what that was about. I can say that over the last 5 to 6 years that we've worked on that site, the Oceanside site is what we refer to it as, that I've worked closely with the CRA. They've been on our selection committees. They have to report to the East Advisory Committee monthly on this project, so they're always in contact with myself. Obviously, I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole on the garage. We could go back and forth all day long on that project. Obviously, we found ourselves up against a brick wall with that project just because of what's happening at the W site. And we did move forward with the solicitation just for a garage, but we always left space on the front of the site, fronting A1A, for a mixed-use development. And we said that clearly when we presented the garage project last fall. So we've always envisioned something there. I've always been passionate about the grocer market, because I know that's something that used to be, I heard, on the Barrier Island, and I know the community explicitly supports that project. So we have not put that aside. We still have that vision. We just ran out of time, and that's why we moved forward with the garage on the back end of the project. So, but we do work together closely, and I'll let you add any other additional comments you'd like to. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. No, it's I know that I've seen the ideas for the parking garage area, the Oceanside lot, and yes, there's ample room for additional development there in addition to a parking garage. And honestly, we need a parking garage. We need a parking garage based upon the merchants' request for additional parking down there, the fact they don't have enough parking for their folks who want to go to their businesses, on top of which we're losing the W parking lots, which that's considered the quote-unquote city parking lots. People from throughout the city who want to go to the beach won't be able to go to the beach because they don't have some place to park unless we can move forward with a parking garage. Mr. Tran, anything further?
Yes, so we did meet with Vice Mayor, and, you know, the parking came up. We also said we weren't responsible for that. It's city property, city solicitation. You know, as you recall, the first couple proposals we did receive mixed-use development. And if you recall the bond, not the bond, the referendum regarding, you know, 99-year lease and 50-year lease, 5-year lease, that kind of killed the deal on the private sector coming in and you know, who's going to put that much money in for a 5-year lease? So, you know, we had to pivot because of the parking demands and the requirements, because we're so successful in what we're doing. We pivoted, and it's a garage only. Would I have liked to see something on top of the garage? Absolutely. But there is still room on that site to fill it in with commercial development, like Ms. Sybil said. On the grocery store, that was something that was needed over there and wanted. But then there's also opportunities there to fill in more. Would I have liked to see the original one go through? Absolutely. I think the city would have liked that and benefited from that as well.
Very good, thank you. Ms. McKenna, considering the situation we're facing right now, I don't believe we can really do much more, can we?
You can continue to have your discussion if you would like. You're not going to take any votes.
Well, that's true. All we have left is there was just a presentation, so we can be done with that and just move on to reports and adjournment.
Yes. Before you move on, though, I would like a moment of privilege, because I think
you're not going to tell me I'm out of order now, are you?
Oh no, I am not. I'm asking for a moment of privilege. I've been doing redevelopment as the legal advisor for CRAs now for about 30 years. And one of the things that I think gets lost in the conversation, and I think Mr. Tran was starting to talk about it and then, you know, got interrupted, and that's that the business model of a CRA, the legal business model, is that you invest in a slum and blighted area. You take whatever the dollars are that you have, and you expect that you're going to get a return on that investment that is exponentially larger. And what we know, what redevelopment agencies know, and what the FRA, our Florida Redevelopment Association, has gathered the data, what we know is that typically we can expect a 20-time return on our investment. So if you look at, for example, the $18 million bond for the McNabb project, at 20 times, that's $360 million that will come back into the city to pave roads, to improve parks, to do whatever the needs are of the city. That's the model, the legal business model of a CRA. Mr. Tran put on the record earlier that one of the projects that we did had a $9 million investment and the return was $98 million. Even at that conservative 10 times, the $18 million investment for McNabb Park would be $180 million that will go back into the city coffers to do all of the things that we're talking about. So I think that the legal business model, what the CRA statute contemplates, sometimes gets lost in the I like a project, I don't like a project. It's really almost not even about that. It's about how can we take those CRA dollars in an area that has been established as needing redevelopment and get the maximum return on our investment. So I thank you for that moment of privilege.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your input. All right, anything further from the commission on the present? We're still on a presentation, discussion of presentation. Commissioner Seeger-Sneeden.
I just have a question with what Claudia was just talking about. So given the scenario that the CRA becomes wealthier and wealthier and wealthier as it goes on, when it does finally sunset, that money then pours out into the general fund.
Absolutely, it all does. And as a practical matter, if you remember, the eligible activities in a CRA, streets, drainage, utilities, all of those parks. So all of those dollars, that return on investment is going back into the CRA district to make whatever other improvements are still part of the plan. So you're always pouring the money back in to improve the quality of life of your residents.
All right. So I also wanted to expound upon what you had said earlier, Mayor, that first meeting in December where the ongoing, continuing negotiations, those that didn't pass because that was when the 3-3 began. Those were to be retroactive raises for our city staff right before Christmas, December 10th. What is that? Union contract, ongoing negotiations, something like that. And, you know, I don't know if I've ever heard any alternatives that have been offered on where the Vice Mayor Fournier or Commissioner Fesick have said they've really never put anything out there for consideration. And I got to say that I want to point out on 2 occasions, maybe 3, where Vice Mayor Fournier stated that perhaps if we would review the manager's spending thresholds, maybe she would reconsider voting for the pool of engineers and architects that we need to have approved so that we can do the improvement projects that we have slated for on the books. And I feel like I have been bullied. Now, I don't know what happened. I had to take an emergency phone call, and all of a sudden I came back. I heard noise, and all of a sudden we have 3 left. So I don't know where the compromise sits there, and I just want to say that I don't see the compromise at all. I haven't heard any alternative plans, anything good. It's always like they're demanding of the city manager to do this or bring back a compromise. Well, and if I don't get my way, I'm not going to vote for the budget. And expressly what she says. And again, we will not be able to write paychecks if a budget is not passed. We will not be able to operate. Our credit rating will go down the toilet. It's Armageddon, essentially. All right, well, that was my report, or that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, very good. I'm still optimistic we'll be able to get a budget passed for the CRA and the city. Anything else on the presentation? Okay. Additional audience to be heard? There is none?
There is none.
Very good. Executive Director reports.
Thank you, Mayor. The only report I have is Thursday night, 6 o'clock, EPAT Larkin Center. We will have our first public outreach meeting with the architect firm that was selected to help design the new community center. So 6 o'clock, EPAT Larkin Center. Hope to see everyone there. It was a great turnout the first time, and we will continue, I believe, 7 sessions of outreach. So we invite the community out there.
What is the topic for what center?
It's going over, public input, community input for the design of the new facility, and it's data gathering, and really just the first session is the historical aspects, and really help to design the new facility.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Ms. McKenna?
I just want to wish everybody a really nice August, and I'll be back here in September.
Yeah. Way to polish off the year. Our next meeting date is September 15th, 2026, 1 p.m. Okay, that opens it up for reports. Let's see. I'll just skip everybody who's not here. Commissioner Segerson-Eaton. No report. Very good. Commissioner Smith. No report. Okay, I've got no report. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.